I never thought I'd be the kind of father who'd plant a hidden camera in my son's backpack. But then again, I never thought I'd see my 9-year-old draw pictures of monsters with my brother-in-law's face either. Let me back up. My name's Jake, and 3 weeks ago, my son Max was the happiest kid you'd ever meet. Baseball practice, video games with his cousins, couldn't wait for summer vacation. We had this tradition, see? Every year since Max was 4, we'd spend a week at his Uncle Rick's cabin up in Lake Tahoe. My ex-wife, Sarah's brother, the cool uncle who taught Max to fish, let him stay up late, made the best s'mores. Max talked about that trip all year long, until he didn't. It started small. Mid-June, I picked Max up from Sarah's place like usual, and he was quiet in the car. Not unusual for a kid whose parents split when he was 3, shuffling between houses every week. But this was different. He kept staring out the window, chewing his thumbnail down to nothing. "You okay, buddy?" I asked. "Yeah." His voice was flat. "Excited about Uncle Rick's cabin next month? Only 3 weeks away." His whole body went rigid. "I don't want to go this year." I glanced at him in the rearview mirror. "What? You love the cabin. What's going on?" "I just don't want to go." He pulled his knees up to his chest, making himself smaller in the booster seat he'd recently outgrown, but still used because Sarah insisted. "Can I stay with you instead?" "Max, we've been planning this for months. Uncle Rick's been asking about you. What happened?" "Nothing happened." He was almost shouting now, and Max never shouted. I don't like it anymore. Okay? I should have pushed harder right then. That's what kills me now. But I was running late for a client call, and I figured it was just kid stuff. Maybe he had a fight with his cousin last year. Maybe he wanted to do baseball camp instead. So I let it go. Big mistake. Over the next 2 weeks, things got worse. Sarah called me on a Wednesday night, irritated as usual. "Max wet the bed again," she said. "This is the 3rd time this week. Is he doing this at your place too?" "No," I said, confused. "He hasn't had an accident in years." "Did something happen?" "He's being dramatic. That's what's happening. And he keeps saying he's not going to the cabin." I told him that's ridiculous. Rick's feelings would be crushed. "Sarah, if he doesn't want to go." "Oh, here we go. Let me guess, you want to coddle him?" "He's 9 years old, Jake. He doesn't get to make adult decisions. We've had this tradition for 5 years. Rick already took time off work. I'm just saying, maybe we should listen to why. You always do this. You undermine me." No wonder he acts out. She hung up. Classic Sarah. Everything was always about control, about appearances, about not disappointing her family. It's why we got divorced. But she had joint custody, and the court thought she was a great mom because she had the nicer house, the stable job, the whole PTA routine. The nightmares started on Thursday. Max woke up screaming at 2 a.m. I ran to his room and found him tangled in his sheets, sobbing. Hey. It's okay. I'm here." I pulled him into my lap. He was shaking. "Bad dream?" He nodded against my chest, his tears soaking through my old Stanford t-shirt. "You want to tell me about it?" He shook his head violently. "Was it about school? Baseball? A scary movie?" "The lake monster," he whispered. "What lake monster?" "The one at Uncle Rick's cabin. It lives in the basement. It comes out at night when everyone's sleeping." My blood went cold. Rick's cabin didn't have a basement. It was built on a concrete slab. I'd helped him install new flooring 2 years ago. "Buddy, Uncle Rick's cabin doesn't have a basement." Max pulled back, his face pale in the nightlight's glow. "Yes, it does. The door with the lock. Where Uncle Rick does his photography." My mind raced. Rick was an amateur photographer. Yeah. Always had his Nikon around his neck at family gatherings. But a locked basement I'd never seen? "Max, when did you see this basement?" "I'm not supposed to tell." His eyes filled with tears again. He said it's our secret. He said if I tell, the monster will come for Mom. Every hair on my body stood up. "Max, look at me." I turned his face gently toward mine. "There is no monster. Monsters aren't real. And nobody gets to tell you to keep secrets from me. You understand? Especially not secrets that scare you." "But Mom said." "What did Mom say?" He clamped his mouth shut, and I saw something in his eyes I'd never seen before. Fear. Not of monsters. Of me. Of disappointing me. Of saying the wrong thing. "You're not in trouble," I said softly. "I promise. Just tell me what Mom said." She said Uncle Rick is family, and family looks out for each other. And sometimes kids don't understand grown-up stuff, but we have to trust our family. It came out in a rush, like he'd memorized it. My heart was pounding so hard, I thought Max could probably feel it. Okay, buddy. How about you sleep in my room tonight? We'll put on that nature documentary you like, and tomorrow we'll figure this out together. He nodded, relief washing over his face. I didn't sleep at all that night. I sat in the chair by my bed, watching Max finally relax into deep sleep, and I went through every interaction I'd ever had with Rick. 39 years old, never married, worked in IT for some startup in San Jose, lived alone, always volunteered to babysit the kids at family events. The fun uncle, the one who roughhoused with the boys, let them drink soda, bought them gifts their parents said were too expensive, and I'd never thought twice about it. I called in sick to work the next morning. After I dropped Max at school, I did something I'm not proud of but don't regret for a second. I drove to the public library and used their computer to search Rick Morrison, San Jose, California. At first, nothing unusual came up. LinkedIn profile. Facebook with the usual family photos. A few photography awards from local competitions. Then I tried Richard Morrison San Jose and added registered sex offender. Nothing. But when I tried Richard Morrison Denver, Colorado, my stomach dropped. A news article from 2015. 10 years ago. Denver youth soccer coach under investigation for inappropriate conduct with minor. The photo was younger, different haircut, but it was definitely Rick. I kept reading. The investigation was dropped due to insufficient evidence and victim's family declining to press charges. Rick had resigned from his position and moved out of state shortly after. I called Sarah. What? She snapped. I'm at work. We need to talk about Rick. Oh my God, not you too. Max has been crying all morning, saying he doesn't want to see me this weekend because I'm making him go to the cabin. I'm so sick of this. Sarah, did you know Rick was investigated in Colorado for inappropriate conduct with a child? Silence. Sarah? That was proven false. Her voice had gone very quiet, very controlled. The way it got when she was lying, a vindictive parent trying to get money from his coaching company. Rick was completely cleared. He wasn't cleared. The case was dropped because the family wouldn't testify. Same thing. It's absolutely not the same thing. Why didn't you tell me about this? Because it's none of your business, and because I knew you'd react exactly like this. You always hated Rick. I don't hate Rick. I barely know Rick. But I'm not letting Max go anywhere near. You don't get to make that decision. The custody agreement says Max comes with me to family events. Not if I think he's in danger. You're being paranoid. Rick would never hurt Max. He loves Max. She paused. Look, Jake, I know you mean well, but you don't understand the whole situation. Then, explain it to me. Another long pause. I can't. Just trust me. Rick is safe. Max is just going through something. He'll get over it. Sarah, what did Rick do to you? The line went dead. I sat in my car in the library parking lot, shaking. She knew. Whatever was happening, whatever had happened, Sarah knew. That afternoon, I picked Max up from school early and took him to Dr. Jennifer Chen, a child psychologist my buddy from work had recommended when his daughter went through his divorce. I called ahead, explained the urgency. Dr. Chen was a small Asian woman in her 50s, with kind eyes and an office full of toys and art supplies. She asked me to wait outside while she talked to Max. 45 minutes later, she called me in. Max was in the waiting room, watching cartoons on an iPad with headphones on. Dr. Chen's kind eyes weren't kind anymore. They were hard. Mr. Patterson, I'm obligated by law to report what Max disclosed to me to Child Protective Services. I've already made the call. They'll be contacting you within 24 hours. My knees almost gave out. What did he say? I can't share specifics without Max's permission, but I can tell you that he described ongoing, inappropriate touching and sexual abuse by his uncle during their cabin trips. The basement he mentioned? Rick has been photographing the children. Max described seeing cameras, lights, and what he called weird beds. The room spun. He also said his mother told him that what Uncle Rick does is how family shows love and that he needed to be a big boy about it. Dr. Chen's voice cracked slightly. Mr. Patterson, I've been doing this for 28 years. This is one of the most clear-cut cases of abuse and parental enablement I've ever seen. You did the right thing bringing him here. I should have known. I choked out. I should have seen it. The nightmares, the bedwetting, the fear. You couldn't have known. Predators like Rick are exceptionally skilled at manipulation. They groom entire families, not just the victims. They create scenarios where people are afraid to question them. What do I do now? You protect your son. You believe him. You document everything, and you don't let him anywhere near Rick or your ex-wife until this is investigated. I drove home on autopilot. Max fell asleep in the back seat, exhausted from crying during his session with Dr. Chun. That night, after Max was asleep, I went through his room. I found his backpack shoved under his bed, which was weird because he usually left it by the door. Inside, under his math homework in his lunchbox, I found a sketchbook I'd never seen before. My hands shook as I opened it. Page after page of drawings. Stick figures of a man with a camera. A room with lights, children crying. And over, the word secret written in Max's careful handwriting. The last drawing made me throw up in my bathroom trash can. It was Max, lying on what looked like a bed, with a monster looming over him. The monster had Rick's face. I called my lawyer at 11 p.m. Mark had handled my divorce and knew Sarah's tactics. "Jake, slow down," he said after I'd explained everything in a rush. "This is serious. CPS will investigate, but in the meantime, you need evidence. Real, concrete evidence, not just Max's word, because Sarah will fight this, and she's got money for good lawyers." "What kind of evidence?" "Recordings, photos, documents, texts, anything that proves Rick's pattern of behavior or Sarah's knowledge of it." "Do you have access to Max's phone?" "Most kids his age have phones now. Sarah gave him one last Christmas, but she controls the account. Can you access it?" "Maybe. He usually leaves it charging in the kitchen when he's here." "Get into it. Look for texts, photos, anything. And Jake, be prepared for this to get ugly. If Sarah's been enabling this, she's not going to admit it. She's going to fight you with everything she has." I found Max's phone on the kitchen counter. His password was his birthday, same as always. I went through his text messages first. Most were from Sarah. "Be good for Uncle Rick. Remember, family is family. Don't tell Dad about our special trips." Then I found a thread with a number I didn't recognize. The messages made my vision blur with rage. "Miss you, champ. Can't wait for July. Uncle Rick has a surprise for you at the cabin. Remember, only brave boys get to see the photography studio. Don't forget, our secret." I screenshot everything, every message, every photo. Then I found the deleted folder. Max had been deleting photos. Dozens of them. Selfies of Rick and Max. Rick's arm around Max's shoulders, holding him too close. Rick and Max by the lake, Rick's hand on Max's leg. And then photos I can't describe without breaking down. Photos no child should ever be in. I forwarded everything to Mark and to my own phone. Then I called the police. The detective who showed up at my door at midnight was a woman named Sarah Rodriguez, which felt like a cruel joke. She was professional, calm, and furious. "Mr. Patterson, these images constitute child pornography. Your son is a victim, and there are likely other victims. We need to move fast. When is this cabin trip supposed to happen?" "July 15th. 2 weeks from now. It's not going to happen. We're getting a warrant for Rick Morrison's cabin, his home, and his electronics. In the meantime, I need you to act normal. Don't tip him off. Don't confront your ex-wife. Can you do that?" I nodded, even though every cell in my body wanted to drive to Rick's apartment and beat him to death. The next 2 weeks were hell. Sarah kept calling, demanding I stop poisoning Max against the family. CPS showed up, interviewed Max again with a forensic specialist. They interviewed me, Sarah, and tried to interview Rick, but he'd lawyered up immediately. Sarah filed an emergency custody motion, claiming I was mentally unstable and making false allegations. The judge granted a temporary hearing. I sat across from Sarah in a courtroom, and I barely recognized her. This woman I'd loved once, married, had a child with. She looked right at the judge and said, "Your Honor, my ex-husband has always been jealous of my family's close bond. He's using our son as a pawn." "Miss Morrison," the judge said, "are you aware that your brother is currently under investigation for child sexual abuse?" "I'm aware of false allegations, yes. Rick is completely innocent. This is a misunderstanding blown out of proportion. And you're aware that explicit images of your son were found on your brother's phone?" Sarah's lawyer whispered something to her. She went pale. I'm not aware of the details of, because it seems to me, the judge interrupted, that either you're aware and you've been enabling abuse, or you're in denial and incapable of protecting your child. Either way, I'm granting temporary full custody to Mr. Patterson pending the criminal investigation. Sarah's face crumpled. You don't understand, Rick. He's family. He would never, I thought. You thought what, Miss Morrison? She looked at me then, and I saw something break in her eyes. He did it to me too, she whispered. When I was Max's age, I thought if I let him have access to Max, he'd stop asking for. I thought I was protecting myself. I thought Max would be okay. I thought. The courtroom went silent. I thought I could control it, she said, tears streaming down her face. I thought if I supervised, if I was there, he wouldn't go too far. I thought I was keeping Max safe while still keeping Rick happy. You thought wrong, I said. My voice didn't sound like mine. You fed our son to a predator to save yourself. She didn't deny it. The judge ordered a psychiatric evaluation for Sarah and continued the case. I took Max home. Rick was arrested 3 days later at his office. The search of his cabin revealed a fully equipped photography studio in a hidden basement, accessible through a false wall in the utility room. They found hard drives with thousands of images of children. Not just Max, dozens of kids over the years. Neighbors' kids from Colorado, kids from youth soccer, nieces and nephews, and friends of nieces and nephews. The FBI got involved. Victims started coming forward. Parents of Max's cousins. I found out Rick had been paying families to keep quiet for years. 20,000 here, 50,000 there. Just enough to make people look the other way. Not all families, though. Some had reported him. They'd been called liars, cut off from the Morrison family, threatened with lawsuits. Sarah's parents had paid for lawyers to make those cases go away. The whole family was rotten. The trial took 8 months. Max went to therapy twice a week. I started going too, because watching your son testify via closed-circuit TV about what his uncle did to him will break something in you that doesn't easily heal. Rick got 30 years. Could have been more, but he took a plea deal and gave up his connections to an online network of predators. His testimony helped take down 17 other people. Sarah didn't go to jail, but she lost her parental rights permanently. The psychiatric evaluation revealed severe trauma from her own childhood abuse and what the doctor called maladaptive coping mechanisms. She genuinely believed she was protecting Max by managing Rick's access. She couldn't see that she'd become an accomplice. I moved us to Portland. Fresh start, new schools, new life. Max is 11 now. He still has nightmares sometimes, but they're getting less frequent. He's back in baseball. He has friends. He laughs. Last month, he came home from therapy with a drawing for me. 2 stick figures, one big and one small, holding hands under a rainbow. That's us, he said. Dr. Chin said I should draw what safe looks like. I framed it and hung it in our living room, right next to the drawings of monsters I couldn't throw away because they were evidence but couldn't look at without feeling sick. I started a support group for protective parents. Turns out there are a lot of us out there. Single dads and moms who had to fight entire families to keep their kids safe. We meet every Thursday. We share strategies, resources, hope. Someone asked me last week if I regret not seeing the signs earlier. Every day, I told them, but I can't change the past. I can only make sure that when my son needed me most, I believed him. I protected him, and I didn't stop until he was safe. Because here's what I learned. Predators don't just groom children. They groom everyone around the children. They build trust, create dependency, make themselves indispensable. They turn family is family into a weapon. But when your child tells you they're scared, you listen. When your child shows you monsters, you believe them. Even when the monster has a familiar face. Especially then. Max is sleeping now, safe in his room with his nightlight and his stuffed dinosaur and a door that locks from the inside because he needs to feel in control of his space. Tomorrow, we're going fishing at a public lake with good visibility and lots of other families around. He suggested it, which his therapist says is huge progress. I'm not the same person I was 2 years ago. I'm harder, more paranoid. I don't trust easily. I check backgrounds. I ask questions. I supervise every interaction my son has with adults. Some people think I'm overprotective now, but those people haven't seen what I've seen. They haven't had to watch their child draw pictures of their abuse because they don't have the words yet to describe it. I'll take overprotective. I'll wear it like armor. Because at the end of the day, I have my son. He's here. He's safe. He's healing. And his uncle? He's in a cell where predators like him don't last long. I heard through the grapevine that he's been in protective custody since a month after his conviction, after another inmate figured out what he was in for. I don't wish violence on anyone, but I don't lose sleep over it either.